You're certainly welcome. Ms. Vaughn, would you agree with this comment? Good process builds good policy, builds good politics. Let me say it slowly. Good process builds good policy, builds good politics.
I think, yes, that could happen. I think maybe what that statement means is that if lawmakers do the right thing, using the right process, then they will be successful politically because voters support that.
Well, no, I think it's obvious. I think we've been nibbling at this edge. And I'm coming back to Mr. Kirk because he keeps saying it over and over again. Give us control. Now, I've lived with tribes my whole life, whether it be in Wyoming, where I went to school at Creighton, and I've represented Eli's district as well in Arizona. I've got the CRIT. And I see this fundamental aspect from the tribes of not trusting the government. And why should you? But once again, that good process gets you that policy that you need. That's why I keep screaming out about this over and over again. We got to get the tribes all together and have this conversation about what is expected. Because what it does is draws everybody into that process. So I think we're nibbling at the edges. I think we just need to get to it. And I think the tribal members have actually said it very clearly. Give us that jurisdictional. Give it the money directly to us. Hold us accountable. We'll show you what we can do. And that's what we're debating about today. I mean, on this FISA reform, we got an out-of-control FBI. We have no personal space. It's all being taken up. It's wrong. That warrant is a reason. There's a reason there's a warrant. There's a reason why there's a warrant. And I go back to what China, there was this, they were having this fight in what's the big city in China? Beijing? No, the one that just, Hong Kong. And this reporter looks at this young Hong Kong person and says, listen, wouldn't you want safety instead of freedom? She said, no, I want freedom. So, I also believe that you have to have the tools. So, President Stiffarm, what's the prevalence of Narcan on your reservation? Is it easily available or not?
It's not easily or readily available within Fort Belknap, no.
And can you tell me the presence of crank on your reservation as well?
You can probably, it's like you can go into your local convenience store and buy a pack of smokes. You can go on the street and buy methamphetamine or fentanyl just as easily.
Chairman Jose, now I know a little bit about your reservation. Tell me how the impact, that part of your reservation is in Mexico and it's not even acknowledged by Mexico. What kind of a problem does that create for you?
Chairman Gosar, members of the committee, it creates a really difficult situation because, as I mentioned, our families are divided. It is, I can't even publicly speak about what's going on in Mexico that our members face, and so really addressing the issue at hand, like I mentioned before, it's not only a U.S.-Mexico thing, but we're caught in the middle of it. Our people are caught in the middle of it, and we have to deal with these things, not only in Mexico, but in the U.S. as well. But here's the concern, Chairman, is that we should be allies. We should be working together, but it seems that the systems put us against each other when we should really be working together to address those issues. And so it is a really difficult situation in Mexico. Right now, we can't even go to some of the communities because of what's going on just south of the border in terms of that. So it is a very terrible situation, Chairman. It is.
Mr. Kirk, I want you to address, the targeting of the cartels of young Indian women, because I think this is atrocious in regards to the trafficking. And we've seen the loss of these women, the unidentified Indian woman that's been lost. Can you address that for us, please?
When it comes to cartels, you mean?
Yes.
The biggest thing is that, like I shared with them getting trafficked, to North Dakota is they don't have nothing, you know, and they see these drugs and these people and everything as, all right, I'm gonna make some money. All right, I'm gonna finally have something. They look for a sense of security in something that's wrong, you know, and these guys bring a false security. They bring a false money. But to the people that don't have nothing, and we haven't had nothing for years, that little bit means something to somebody. When they see families and stuff that have nothing, and these kids grow up in nothing, and they see somebody as a cartel member, whoever it may be, that are bringing the drugs in, they see those people as a security, and that's why they hold on and latch on, because of the money and the drugs that are there.
Ms. Vaughn, come back to you. You made a comment, and we had an exchange here a little bit, and I want to ask you, you know, under this current administration, it seems like we have a hard time even taking care of our own people. You can't take care of the world until you take care of your own. Tell me why you see this illegal immigration aspect as being a big problem.
Well, it's a big problem on so many levels. Immigration law is not some obsolete law that doesn't deserve to be enforced anymore. Very fundamentally, it takes away opportunities for Americans and legal immigrants to support themselves, because the reason that
I'm so
most
sorry,
of these...
Mr. Chairman, you're over time, and this is outside the scope of this hearing. This hearing is about the fentanyl crisis in Indian
Excuse me, I'll strike
country.
that record because I gave you plenty of time. I'm just started my second time frame. You went
But
through
what
one
is-
and the whole
what
nother
is the
one.
relevance
It's my
of
time.
this?
It's my time.
I can explain the relevance.
Yeah, I can too. Go ahead.
So the main reason most of the people who are crossing the border illegally are coming is because they believe that they will be released into the country and allowed to work here, without facing any threat of enforcement for an indefinite period. People are willing to, well, one of the ways people have arrangements with the cartels is to pay just a down payment on their smuggling fee, which runs into thousands of dollars. And then after they're here, they enter what is essentially a debt bondage arrangement with the cartels to pay off their smuggling debt. And so people end up in essentially labor traffic situations, sometimes working directly for the cartels, either as drug mules or as employees in some of their operations. And this is one of the ways that the cartels enrich themselves through not only drug trafficking, but also human smuggling and debt bondage. And that is all enabled by the open border policies that have been put in place under the Biden administration, primarily by DHS Secretary Mayorkas. He's been the main architect of accomplishing this agenda for the administration. And the costs are not just public safety, although that's one of the most important, but also the distortion of labor markets that denies opportunity to Americans and legal immigrants, and cuts off opportunities for them to support themselves. And it's just basically the trashing of our immigration system and the loss of public confidence in our legal immigration system.
Thank you. I just want to note that 404 or 406 of the second minute, I'm way behind the time of the ranking member, so I just want to make sure that's it's noted in the books. Typically, I ask, what was a question that you wanted to ask but wasn't asked, and what is the answer? Mr. Kirk, we'll start with you. A question that was never asked that you wanted to ask, and what is its answer?
How can we better work together? For me, because, and no disrespect to anybody or anything, we're here to talk about issues when it comes to Indian country. We flew out, we paid money, we left our families, we put ourselves here in the forefront of this issue. And it seems like, again, the lady earlier, the gentleman, right now, are we gonna walk out these doors and be like, all right, what was this for? You know, how do we work together? That's the question that I didn't get from you guys, is how are we gonna work together? Because right now, sitting here, it's still divided. Sitting here, are we gonna walk out these doors and get the same thing that we got over and over again that my brother has over here? Broken promises. That, again, when I first started my testimony, is it something just to check a box off? Are we gonna hold people accountable? You know, and for me, my answer would be, it's our obligation to each other to work together, to have a relationship together with us. We don't, on reservations, we don't care about this stuff here because we're fighting a different battle. We're fighting a different monster on our reservation with the lack of that we already have. Chairman, you know, and that's the thing, is we're put in the middle of something right now that, you know, once something gets brought up, it's just like, wow, it's not even an issue that's going on in Indian country. Because why? Because our borders have been open for years upon years upon years, and had, like my brother said, people preying on our people for year after year after year, crisis after crisis, and it's something that we continue to fight. But then again, what gets held up on our end is everybody here working together across the aisle to give us the funding that we need to better resource our people. So, but again, you know, no disrespect to nobody, but it's working together. What can we do to work together? Thank
I'll
you.
make you the commitment, we'll stay in touch, and we will try to make something happen. As you saw me twice with Ms. Hagerman, my colleague, I've wanted this conversation. Because I have said over and over again, I think the future of this country goes through Indian country. Because you have that sovereignty, you have that ability to dictate. And that's not what has happened. So I think there's plenty of opportunities coming up here. I will make that commitment to you.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman Jose.
Chairman, thank you for the question. Here's the question that wasn't asked that I would have hoped to be asked. And Chairman Berlin Jose, what would you do, or what kind of federal law would you create, and that every single person would follow that? I wish that question was asked to me. And I would say, I would create a federal law that every single person will follow. And the law would be to do away with political parties, to do away with discrimination, to do away with all those indifferences, and let's address the issues at hand with the human response. Get in a room and let's talk about these things. I said this, Homeland Security, when Homeland Security was created. Who created this? Who created Homeland Security? Well, the experts did. The experts never once consulted with our experts. That's the people that live there. That's the people that see that happening all the time. And after all these millions and billions of dollars spent, we could have told you that it wasn't going to work. But we were never included. So if we could put aside all those differences, it's not about what I'm going to get out about it, or what my party is going to get about it, or what my tribes can get about it. It's about what is this nation can get out of it. We create a law and everybody would follow that. I think we'd be in a better place to address it. Right now, everyone's for their own. There's too much division. There's too much separation. And that's why we're missing the solutions to address the issues that we have at hand. That would be a start. All those other things will fall into play, like direct funding and all those other things. But if we don't work together, that's why with the womb, with the bite skook, together we are stronger. Isn't that what America was built on? Isn't that what America talks about? So let's live up to that. Thank you, Chairman.
Ms. Vaughn.
The question I would like to be asked is, who should be served most by our immigration policies? And quite simply, the answer is Americans. It should, our immigration policies should serve our national interest and Americans first.
And President Stefan.
Thank you. I guess I would like to have been asked, what could you all do to curb our problems that we have on reservations? The biggest one is quit tying our hands. It seems like to me when we need something or want something, we got to come here to beg. We got to beg for what we have and what we need. But you look at Ukraine and the war that's going over there, they ask and they shall receive. And they receive billions of dollars for a war to kill people. And I said this before. And when the tribes ask for maybe thousands of dollars or maybe a few million to save our people, we're usually told no. And then we can't even enforce our laws over non-members in our own country, in our own land, like you said, our own sovereignty. So basically, our hands are tied no matter where we go, no matter what we do. Untie our hands. Let us help our own people. We're not asking for a handout, we're asking for a hand up. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time. I want to thank the witnesses for their valuable testimony today and the members for their questions. The members of the committee may have some additional questions for you, and we'll ask you to respond to those in writing. Under Committee Rule 3, members of the committee must submit their questions to the subcommittee clerk by 5 p.m. on April 15th. The hearing record will be held open for 10 business days for these responses. If there's no further business in this subcommittee,